Imagine for just a moment that tonight at around 3 in the morning, while you are in what should be your deepest, most restorative sleep, something extraordinary is supposed to happen inside your skull. Your brain, that 3-pound universe between your ears that holds every memory of your grandchildren's faces, every hard-won piece of wisdom from your 60, 70, or 80 years on this planet, is supposed to undergo a powerful cleansing process. Think of it like a dishwasher cycle for your mind. Fluid rushes through the tiny channels between your brain cells, sweeping away the metabolic debris that accumulated during your waking hours. This includes fragments of proteins, cellular waste, and yes, even the amyloid plaques that researchers have linked to cognitive decline. This magnificent cleaning crew works the night shift, and it has a name. Scientists call it the glymphatic system, and when it functions properly, you wake up feeling clear, sharp, and ready to embrace the day. But here is where things take a troubling turn, and I need you to pay close attention because this might explain something you have been experiencing for years without understanding why. For this nightly cleansing process to work, your brain requires fuel. Not just any fuel, but a steady, uninterrupted supply of glucose. Your brain is an energy-hungry organ. It accounts for only about 2% of your body weight, yet it consumes roughly 20% of all the energy you produce. And during sleep, when the glymphatic system kicks into high gear, the demand becomes even more critical. Now picture what happens when, around 2 or 3 in the morning, your blood sugar suddenly crashes. The fuel line runs dry. The dishwasher sputters. The cleaning crew cannot finish its work. And those protein fragments, that metabolic debris, that waste that was supposed to be cleared away, it stays. Night after night, it accumulates. And you wake up at 4 in the morning feeling not refreshed, but foggy, anxious, with your heart racing and your mind already cluttered before the sun has even risen. Now, before we go any deeper into this, I want to take a moment to be very clear with you. Everything I am about to share is for educational purposes, and nothing in this video should replace the advice of your personal physician. What I am going to share with you is based on peer-reviewed research and the emerging science of the gut-brain connection, the glymphatic system, and how certain traditional foods may support brain health as we age. I'm not going to promise you cures. I'm not going to tell you that eating a specific food will reverse any condition. What I am going to do is give you information that I believe could genuinely help you sleep more restorfully and wake up with greater mental clarity. And I believe that knowledge, when it is accurate and actionable, is one of the most powerful tools we have. Before we go deeper, I want to know who is with us today. I am genuinely curious about this community we are building together. So pause this video for just a moment, scroll down to the comments section, and type your age and the city you are watching from. It might seem like a small thing, but it helps me understand who is here, what you might be struggling with, and it helps other viewers realize they are not alone in this journey. Someone watching in Minneapolis at 67 might find comfort knowing there is another person in Melbourne at 72 who understands exactly what they are going through. We are building something here, a community of people who refuse to accept that foggy mornings and restless nights are just an inevitable part of aging. So go ahead, drop your age and your city in the comments. I read every single one. I will wait right here for you. Welcome back. Now let us talk about why so many people over 60 wake up feeling like their brain never quite rested. The common explanation you have probably heard goes something like this. It is just part of getting older. Your sleep becomes lighter, your brain slows down, and there is nothing much you can do about it except maybe take a sleeping pill and hope for the best. But science tells us a very different story. What many people are experiencing is not simply aging. It is something called reactive hypoglycemia, and it happens when your blood sugar drops too low during the night, triggering a cascade of stress hormones that pull you out of deep sleep. Your body, in its ancient wisdom, interprets that blood sugar crash as a threat. It releases cortisol and adrenaline, your heart rate increases, you feel anxious, and suddenly you are wide awake at 3 in the morning staring at the ceiling. Here is where it gets fascinating. As we age, our ability to regulate blood sugar becomes less efficient. The meals we ate for decades without issue suddenly seem to affect us differently. A dinner high in simple carbohydrates might spike your blood sugar dramatically, only to have it crash hours later while you sleep. And when that crash happens, your brain suffers. Not just because you wake up, but because the glymphatic system cannot do its work properly without adequate glucose. The research emerging from institutions like the University of Rochester, where much of the foundational glymphatic research has been conducted, suggests that this nightly cleansing is most active during the deepest phases of sleep, specifically during slow-wave sleep. If your blood sugar crashes and pulls you out of that deep sleep phase, the cleaning process is interrupted. But the story goes even deeper than blood sugar. We must talk about your gut. I know that might seem like an odd detour when we are discussing the brain, but stay with me here because this connection is profound. Running from your gut all the way up to your brainstem is a remarkable communication highway called the vagus nerve. This is the longest cranial nerve in your body, and it carries information in both directions. Your gut and your brain are in constant conversation. The bacteria living in your intestinal tract, collectively known as your microbiome, produce neurotransmitters and short-chain fatty acids that directly influence your brain function, your mood, and even your sleep quality. An estimated 90% of your body's serotonin, the precursor to the sleep hormone melatonin, is produced not in your brain but in your gut. Think about that for a moment. The chemical messenger that helps regulate your sleep cycles, your mood, and your sense of well-being is being manufactured in your digestive system. This means that what you eat, particularly what you eat in the hours before sleep, has a direct and measurable impact on your brain's ability to rest, repair, and clear away waste during the night. And this brings us to the heart of what I want to share with you today. There's a category of foods that your grandmother probably ate regularly, foods that have sustained human civilizations for thousands of years, foods that modern science is now validating as powerful supporters of brain health and stable overnight blood sugar. I am talking about legumes. Specifically, I want to walk you through 3 remarkable legumes that, when prepared correctly and eaten in the right amounts at the right time, may help fuel your glymphatic system and support the kind of deep, restorative sleep your brain is desperate for. Let us begin with black beans, and I want you to think of them as your glucose guard. Black beans are not just another food on a list. They represent a sophisticated delivery system for some of the most brain-supportive nutrients that exist in nature. First, consider their deep purple-black color. That color comes from a class of compounds called anthocyanins, the same pigments found in blueberries, purple grapes, and red cabbage. What makes anthocyanins so remarkable is their ability to cross the blood-brain barrier. This is the highly selective membrane that protects your brain from harmful substances. Very few compounds can pass through this barrier, but anthocyanins can. Once inside the brain, research suggests they act as powerful antioxidants, helping to protect neurons from oxidative stress. A study published in the Annals of Neurology followed a large group of participants over many years and found that higher consumption of anthocyanin-rich foods was associated with slower cognitive decline. But the anthocyanins are only part of the story. Black beans are also exceptionally high in what nutritional scientists call resistant starch. Unlike regular starches that break down quickly and spike your blood sugar, resistant starch passes through your small intestine largely intact. It resists digestion. When it reaches your large intestine, it becomes food for your beneficial gut bacteria. These bacteria ferment the resistant starch and produce short-chain fatty acids, particularly one called butyrate. Butyrate has been shown to reduce inflammation throughout the body, strengthen the gut lining, and remarkably, send signals through the vagus nerve that may support brain function. When you eat black beans with dinner, the resistant starch continues to be processed in your gut for hours, providing a slow, steady source of fuel that helps prevent those middle-of-the-night blood sugar crashes. Your liver receives the signal that fuel is available, and it does not need to trigger the stress response that would otherwise wake you up. The glycemic index of properly prepared black beans is remarkably low, typically between 30 and 35, compared to white rice which can be 70 or higher. This means black beans release their energy slowly, like a release capsule for your bloodstream. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that consuming low glycemic foods in the evening was associated with more stable overnight blood sugar levels and fewer instances of nighttime awakening. For those who struggle with early morning waking or who find themselves alert at 3 or 4 in the morning for no apparent reason, black beans might be the missing piece. They stand guard over your glucose levels while you sleep, ensuring your brain has the steady fuel supply it needs to run its nightly cleaning cycle. Now let us talk about lentils, and I want you to think of them as your brain's oxygenator. If black beans protect your glucose, lentils ensure that your brain cells receive adequate oxygen throughout the night. Here is why this matters. Iron deficiency is remarkably common among older adults, and it often goes undetected because the symptoms are so easy to attribute to aging. Fatigue, difficulty concentrating, shortness of breath, poor sleep quality. These are all hallmarks of insufficient iron, and they overlap almost perfectly with what many people dismiss as simply getting older. Lentils are one of the richest plant-based sources of iron available. A single cup of cooked lentils provides roughly 6 milligrams of iron, which is a substantial portion of the daily requirement. But here is what makes lentils particularly intelligent as a food choice. They also contain high levels of vitamin C precursors and other compounds that enhance iron absorption. Your body can actually use the iron in lentils, which is not always the case with iron from other sources. Iron is essential for the production of hemoglobin, the molecule in your red blood cells that carries oxygen from your lungs to every cell in your body, including your brain cells. When your iron status is healthy, your brain receives the oxygen it needs to function optimally, including during sleep when the glymphatic system is working to clear waste. Think of oxygen as the power source that keeps the cleaning crew going through the night. Without adequate iron, the supply becomes unreliable and the cleaning process falters. But lentils offer something else that is equally important. They are exceptionally high in folate, also known as vitamin B9. Folate plays a critical role in the production of neurotransmitters and in the methylation process that keeps your DNA healthy. A growing body of research has linked folate deficiency to cognitive decline and mood disorders. A meta-analysis published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease found that adequate folate intake was associated with better cognitive performance in older adults. Like black beans, lentils are a slow-burn energy source. They sit low on the glycemic index and release their carbohydrates gradually into your bloodstream. This makes them an ideal evening food for anyone concerned about overnight blood sugar stability. The combination of iron for oxygen delivery, folate for neurotransmitter production, and slow-release carbohydrates for steady glucose creates what I think of as a foundation for nighttime brain performance. Lentils come in many varieties, from brown and green to red and black, and each offers a slightly different nutrient profile. Red lentils cook quickly and become soft, making them ideal for soups and stews. Green and brown lentils hold their shape better and work beautifully as a warm side dish. For this nighttime protocol, any variety will provide benefits, though the darker varieties tend to have slightly higher antioxidant content. Our third legume is chickpeas, and I want you to think of them as the sleep architect. If black beans guard your glucose and lentils oxygenate your brain, chickpeas help construct the biochemical framework your brain needs to actually fall asleep and stay asleep. This is because chickpeas are remarkably high in an amino acid called tryptophan. You might have heard of tryptophan in connection with turkey and that drowsy feeling after Thanksgiving dinner. The science behind this is sound. Tryptophan is the precursor that your body uses to manufacture serotonin, and serotonin is then converted into melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle. Without adequate tryptophan in your diet, the production line for melatonin slows down. Your body simply does not have the raw materials it needs to build the sleep hormone. But here is where chickpeas become truly remarkable. Having tryptophan in your bloodstream is not enough. Your body needs additional nutrients to convert that tryptophan into serotonin and then into melatonin. Two of the most important cofactors in this conversion process are vitamin B6 and magnesium. And chickpeas, almost as if nature designed them specifically for this purpose, are excellent sources of both. A single cup of cooked chickpeas provides approximately 1.1 milligrams of vitamin B6, which is roughly 65% of the daily recommended intake. The same serving provides about 78 milligrams of magnesium. Magnesium is sometimes called the relaxation mineral because of its role in calming the nervous system and preparing the body for sleep. Many older adults are deficient in magnesium without realizing it, and this deficiency has been linked to insomnia, anxiety, and restless sleep. What you have in chickpeas is a complete package. The tryptophan provides the raw material. The vitamin B6 serves as the catalyst that drives the conversion of tryptophan to serotonin, and the magnesium relaxes your nervous system and enhances the quality of your sleep once you finally drift off. Researchers at the University of Sydney have studied the glycemic impact of chickpeas and found them to be among the lowest glycemic foods available, helping to maintain stable blood sugar for hours after consumption. Chickpeas also contain a significant amount of protein and fiber, which further slow the digestion process and extend the release of nutrients throughout the night. When you eat a modest serving of chickpeas with your evening meal, you are providing your brain with the architectural plans it needs to build a restful night. Now I want to address something that I know many of you are thinking about, and I respect you too much to ignore it. Legumes can cause digestive discomfort. Gas, bloating, and the discomfort that comes with them are real concerns, and for many people over 60, these concerns have prevented them from enjoying the benefits of legumes for years or even decades. There's also the issue of noxuria, the need to urinate multiple times during the night, which can be exacerbated by certain foods. If I am going to recommend that you eat legumes in the evening, I must also teach you how to prepare them in a way that minimizes these very real issues. The key to digestible legumes lies primarily in preparation. Most of the digestive distress caused by beans, lentils, and chickpeas comes from compounds called oligosaccharides, specifically raffinose and stachyose. These are complex sugars that the human digestive system cannot break down on its own. When they reach your large intestine, your gut bacteria ferment them, producing gas as a byproduct. The good news is that these oligosaccharides are water-soluble, which means they can be significantly reduced through proper soaking. If you are using dried legumes, soak them in cold water for at least 12 hours, and ideally for 24 hours. Change the water several times during this soaking period. When you finally cook the legumes, discard the soaking water and use fresh water. This single step can reduce the gas-producing compounds by 50% or more. Cooking method matters as well. Legumes should be cooked until they are very soft, almost to the point of falling apart. Undercooked beans are much harder to digest. Adding a small piece of kombu seaweed to the cooking water is a traditional Japanese technique that may help break down some of the difficult-to-digest compounds. Once the legumes are cooked, certain spices can further support digestion. Cumin has been used for centuries in cultures that consume large amounts of legumes, and there is good reason for this. Cumin stimulates the production of digestive enzymes and has carminative properties, meaning it helps prevent the formation of gas. Ginger is another powerful digestive ally. Fresh ginger added to legume dishes can soothe the stomach lining and promote healthy digestion. Fennel seeds, coriander, and asafoetida are other traditional additions that serve the same purpose. These are not just flavor additions. They are functional ingredients that have been used for thousands of years by cultures that understood intuitively what modern science is now confirming. For those concerned about nighttime urination, portion size becomes critical. I'm not suggesting that you eat a giant bowl of beans before bed. This protocol involves eating a small serving, roughly half a cup of cooked legumes, as part of your evening meal. This amount is sufficient to provide the blood sugar stabilizing and sleep supporting benefits without overwhelming your digestive system or filling your bladder. Eat this serving at least 3 hours before you intend to go to sleep. This gives your body time to begin processing the food and allows you to use the bathroom before retiring for the night. If noxuria is a significant concern for you, consider reducing your overall fluid intake in the evening hours and making sure to empty your bladder completely before bed. I also want to speak to those of you who have never prepared legumes at home and feel intimidated by the process. There is no shame in using canned beans, lentils, or chickpeas. The convenience of canned legumes makes them accessible to everyone, regardless of cooking ability or time constraints. If you use canned legumes, rinse them thoroughly under cold running water for at least 30 seconds. This removes much of the sodium and also rinses away some of the oligosaccharides that have leached into the canning liquid. After rinsing, you can warm them gently with a bit of olive oil and your digestive spices, and you have a nourishing side dish ready in minutes. Let me paint a picture of what this might look like in practice. You prepare a simple evening meal, perhaps some baked fish or roasted chicken with vegetables. On the side, you have half a cup of warm black beans that you prepared over the weekend, seasoned with cumin and a squeeze of lime. Or perhaps you have made a simple lentil soup earlier in the day, seasoned with ginger and turmeric, and you enjoy a small bowl alongside your dinner. Or maybe you have mashed some chickpeas with olive oil, lemon, and garlic to create a simple hummus that you spread on a piece of whole grain bread. These are not complicated recipes. They are simple, traditional preparations that cultures around the world have relied upon for thousands of years. What happens next is the beautiful part. Over the following hours, as you go about your evening routine, the legumes are slowly releasing their nutrients into your system. The resistant starch is making its way to your gut bacteria, signaling through the vagus nerve that all is well. The tryptophan is beginning its conversion into serotonin. The iron and folate are supporting your blood cell health, and the slow-release carbohydrates are dripping glucose into your bloodstream at a pace your body can handle. When you finally close your eyes and drift off to sleep, your blood sugar remains stable. Your brain has the fuel it needs. And somewhere in the depths of the night, in those quiet hours when the world is still and your conscious mind is at rest, the glymphatic system activates. Fluid rushes through the channels between your neurons. Waste is swept away. And your brain, that precious organ that holds everything that makes you who you are, is cleansed and renewed. You wake up and something is different. Not dramatically different, not overnight, because these things take time. But over days and weeks, you begin to notice that the fog is lifting. The early morning anxiety is less intense. You feel, for the first time in perhaps years, what it means to wake up actually rested. Your grandchildren visit and you find yourself more present, more engaged, able to follow the conversation without that familiar strain of trying to keep up. You remember where you put your keys. You recall the name of that actor who was in that movie. Small things, perhaps, but they add up to something profound. They add up to the return of your mental clarity. They add up to the reclamation of your golden years. I want to close with something personal. I believe that the later chapters of life are not meant to be a slow decline into fog and confusion. I believe that you deserve to be present for the years ahead, to be sharp enough to enjoy your loved ones, wise enough to pass on what you have learned, and clear-headed enough to appreciate each day as the gift it truly is. The science is clear that sleep, and particularly the deep cleansing sleep enabled by the glymphatic system, is one of the most powerful tools we have for maintaining cognitive health as we age. And the science is increasingly clear that what we eat, and specifically what we eat in the evening hours, can profoundly influence the quality of that sleep. Black beans, lentils, and chickpeas are not exotic superfoods from some distant land. They are humble, affordable, and available at every grocery store. They have sustained human beings through famines and flourishing alike. They are the foods of your ancestors, the foods that built civilizations. And now, armed with the knowledge of how they support your brain through the night, you can reclaim them as part of your own health strategy. I know it feels like there are so many things working against us as we age. The body changes, the world moves faster, and sometimes it seems like the simplest things have become complicated. But this is not complicated. This is a half cup of beans with dinner. This is soaking your legumes and adding a little cumin. This is reclaiming a simple, ancient practice in service of your most precious asset, your mind. You have made it this far in life. You have accumulated wisdom, experience, and love that the world still needs. Let us make sure the years ahead are clear enough for you to share it all. Thank you for being here with me today. If this information resonated with you, I would be honored if you would share it with a friend or family member who might benefit. And if you have not already done so, please take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss our future conversations. You're building something here, a community of people who refuse to accept decline as inevitable, who believe that knowledge is power, and who are willing to make small changes in pursuit of a more vibrant life. Leave me a comment sharing how you plan to incorporate these legumes into your routine. I will be down there reading every single one. Until next time, take care of that beautiful brain of yours. It is the only one you have, and it is doing its best to take care of you.